Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Front Row Access Podcast. I am your host, Steven Russo.
I'm Anthony Gonzalez.
Let's fucking get it. All right, Anthony, I'm going to start this off with, have you ever shotgunned a lemonade before?
I have not, although I heard it's a great way to get rid of aftertaste.
I know, because Anthony and I were just reminiscing a couple of years back. We had our other co-host, Gavin. He was over for a cookout one day, and he drank the chili dog-flavored fucking G Fuel.
Yes,
And which we're co-promoting today. So along with Mountain Dew, obviously, Pepsi, G Fuel, hit us up. We will market your products perfectly. But he drank the chili dog flavored. And what was that? That was an April Fool's for the Sanic meme, right?
Yep.
And then my poor co-host Gavin took a nice little. Took one tiny little sip. Wasn't a big sip. And he went.
Immediately spat that out.
Immediately spat it out. And then he walked over to one of my coolers. This was like 2 years ago. And he fucking shotguns a lemonade. I'm like, damn. Imagine being a college kid. It wouldn't be me. No, I'm just kidding. But it was something, man.
I was gonna say, you just showed me the equipment you had for your filming for your 5-cent cigar.
Yeah. As you guys know, I am a part-time reporter for the Good 5-Cent Cigar.
He's a part-time journalist, a part-time college student, a part-time podcast host, a part-time DoorDasher.
Full-time college student, though.
And part-time fucking,
brand ambassador for Boar's Head.
No, there was another one that was on my mind. I forgot it. Yeah, he does a lot.
Yeah. That's why I don't upload as often as I probably should. I'm going to be real. But, you know, we got a lot going on. Doing a lot of shit. And plus, this is also kind of within the field. I'm a communications and journalism major. So, I mean, this is kind of a part of that. It's a media-based job, so communication-based. So, study of human behavior. Great time. Anyway, so today, guys, we're starting a new season here on the Front Row Access Podcast, and this new little series is going to be called UFC Rivals. So we're going to cover a bunch of different rivalries that have happened in the UFC, because there's been plenty. I can name, like, probably a ton right off the top of my head real quick. Obviously, we have DC and John Jones. That was a big one for a little while. We have Volkanovski and Holloway.
Yes, sir.
That was a good one. We have Volkanovski and Makachev. Adesanya and Pereira. And then what else do we got on there? Moreno and Figueiredo. Yeah, so we've had a lot of UFC rivalries that have extended into multiple fights. So.
Pretty sure Chuck Liddell had a few.
Yeah, Chuck Liddell and Jesus, what was Home Dog's name?
Sure, GSP's got some.
GSP and Bisping.
There's a shit ton of them.
We have to do our homework real quick, but it was Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. So we got a lot of different rivalries we're gonna go over, but we're gonna go over one like special case today because usually a lot of things that come up when you talk about UFC rivalries is you talk about the Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov beef that went down back in 2018. To be honest. It was more like a 2015 to like 2018, not even 2015 to present. It's like this rivalry because it's just encapsulated the entire sport in a very different way, despite them only fighting one time. So that's the one we're gonna go over today.
This may not be the rivalry that's had the most bouts. This may not be the most current, but I would say as far as namesake go, it's the biggest.
It definitely is because I mean you can think about it. Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor McGregor, those are like the two like huge names in this sport of mixed martial arts. I'll say the sport like in general, not even just like UFC. Like the sport in general, you always think Khabib Nurmagomedov, you always think Conor McGregor, and of course you think about old timey greats like Anderson Silva and GSP, obviously. So Chuck Liddell as well. So we got a lot to go over with McGregor and Khabib. So, and it all really starts in December of 2015 when Conor McGregor slept Jose Aldo in the first round, 13 seconds in, pound for pound #1 guy in the world, Jose Aldo. This little fucking Irishman comes up, this little fucking leprechaun that has way too big of an ego, decides to go in there, get all up in Aldo's head for the better part of a year because they were supposed to fight in July of 2015, but then Aldo actually did have to pull out of the fight. He had some sort of injury, some kind of I forget exactly what the specifics. I think it was something with the shoulder or something with the arm, but uh regardless, they did not fight in 2015 July. uh, Conor McGregor actually would fight an interim featherweight championship fight against Chad Mendez, which I honest to God think is probably, I mean, next to Khabib, it was like, and Nate Diaz, obviously, it's probably one of the hardest fights that Conor McGregor's ever had. It's like times where, like, obviously McGregor had this fucking aura back in the mid like 2010s into like the end of the 2010s. You know, like mid 2010s especially though. This motherfucker was like on top of the world, and he was not. He's kicking ass, and taking names, and being a fucking prick in the process. So it really goes back to then when Conor McGregor wins the championship, and then he goes and he leaves his division in early 2016 to go and fight against Nate Diaz
That's a
on
favorite
short
thing when
notice.
people leave their divisions.
I fucking love when that happens. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love it so much as he aggressively squeezes his Mountain Dew can. But
Yeah, so this really happened because Nate was talking a lot of trash on Greggy, saying he stole what was supposed to be his and whatnot at that time. And you know, Greggy decided, "Fuck you, I'm gonna shut you up."
yeah, and guess what? Then Conor McGregor would have his first ever UFC loss to Nate
Yeah,
Diaz. Of all fucking people, Nate Diaz
yeah,
handed Conor McGregor his first loss in the UFC.
yeah.
So it was by rear naked choke, and then of course, Conor McGregor's like, "I gotta get my get back, bro." So then he's like,
He got them gains.
yeah."
Got them gains.
He's like, I gotta get this shit. I'm gonna get this shit." He's like, "Fuck." Moving up to get the other belt right now because originally Nate Diaz actually their first fight stepped in on short notice. So that was a short notice victory for Nate Diaz because he had just talked shit on McGregor a couple months back. And it's because they were willing to give Conor McGregor a lightweight title shot right off the gate because he was just that huge at the time,
He
you
was
know.
the guy.
So they were willing to give him a title shot right off the rip. He was supposed to fight RDA, Rafael dos Santos, who was the current champion in the UFC lightweight division. Conor McGregor was the featherweight champion. Obviously, we're gonna do this champion versus championship match, first of its kind, and didn't end up happening. RDA ended up pulling out of the fight, and then Nate Diaz stepped in and handed Conor McGregor a loss. And then Connor's like, "Oh, fuck that. This guy," he's like, "Oh, this fucking kid. He just fucking beat me. He took me to the fucking ground, kid. And then he fucking choked me. So I had to go and I had to get my get back, you know?" So, yeah, he faces Nate Diaz again later on the summer, 2016, like July-ish. And then he beats him in a split decision, which is a controversial split decision, I will be honest. I personally thought Conor McGregor did enough to win that fight, but there are people that say Nate Diaz won that fight, and I totally understand your reasoning.
And this is very important because at this time, while this is happening, featherweight is at a standstill.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we got no champion, we got no defenses. The fuck's going on?
So Conor McGregor totally held up that entire division for that year.
Which is why he loves when people go up.
Fucking
In...
love it. It's my favorite thing in the whole world, the whole wide world, bro. See, you're killing me over here. Anyway, so
Sorry, I'll spoil that because this is so. And this is why he likes what Ilya did when he vacated his belt.
yes, when Ilya said, "I want to move up to lightweight," and then vacated his title, I'm like, yes, that is what you're supposed to do. Go ahead and do it, my friend. Nobody needs to be Conor McGregor with the two belts, okay? Nobody needs that all the time.
Aren't you saying that's what's gonna happen in the women's like in a couple months?
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying it's not a be all end all because the thing is with Weili Zhang and Valentina Shevchenko, it's the only fight either person can have. And well, after Shevchenko possibly beats Mananfuro, Mananfuro is the rightful number one contender. She has to beat her first, and if she does, man, I'm calling up Weili, bro. Weili's got nothing else to do at strawweight, man. She's like done. She has cleaned out that entire division. So fuck it, move her up. But anyway, back to McGregor in 2016.
Yes.
Putting that clock back, he beats Nate Diaz, split decision. And then after that happens, Khabib, meanwhile, Khabib, Tony Ferguson, Edson Barboza, they're just fucking ripping and killing shit in the lightweight division, and are actually trying to contend for that title. Now, meanwhile, as Conor McGregor was looking for his rematch against Nate Diaz that summer, Eddie Alvarez stepped up to face Rafael dos Anjos in May of 2016, and he beat him. So, therefore, it's set up. Eddie Alvarez is the champion, which kind of sucks. I honest to God think that it would have been a better fight, like just eye candy wise, if it was RDA and Conor McGregor at the time.
Probably for eye candy, but I mean, Gregor is too busy doing shit in
Yep.
fucking Diaz's.
So then after he beats Diaz, meanwhile, Tony Ferguson, Edson Barboza, Khabib Nurmagomedov, they're all just fucking killing it, you know? And this is prime Tony, guys. This is the prime Tony's happening right now.
I was gonna say we just came off a match in the new UFC. Is it 5 or 7?
5.
5, but he finally got Tony his belt.
And
Finally.
beat Islam Makhachev. Yeah, because that'll totally happen now. Definitely not like Tony Ferguson's a part of a money laundering scheme or anything like that.
Listen, we don't know it's money laundering yet.
I'm pretty sure it is. The GFL or Global Fight League guys, I swear to God, that shit ain't real. That shit is not real. They have all these fighters. They have all these matchups that are supposedly scheduled to happen. I'm like, when? Where? Why? You just sprang out of nowhere. I've never heard of you ever in my life. Where the fuck did you come from? You know what I mean? Like, it's some crazy shit. I don't think it's real. I think the GFL is money laundering. I think it's a money laundering scheme. But if there are any GFL execs, please explain to me what your corporation is, because I don't understand.
Well, how are they gonna explain it to you? Link them our email and social.
Front row access 15@gmail.com. You can send us all the suggestions, and then we're on every single social media platform except Facebook under that same username. So, moving on. Eddie Alvarez is champ. McGregor goes and beats Diaz. Now it's time. Yes, Conor McGregor, who beats Nate fucking Diaz at welterweight, becomes the #1 contender at lightweight for the championship while being the featherweight champion.
That's how that works, yep.
I'm like, this guy, looking back at it, like an actual like hindsight, that's so bullshit.
This was a train wreck waiting to happen.
Like, they gave McGregor literally everything.
He got the John Jones experience for a full year and a half.
For real. Like, they gave him everything. And for, like, no reason either. Besides the fact he could talk shit and knock people out.
Well, no. You can't do that. That's taken away from Greggy's legacy. There was a reason. He was making MMA big.
Okay, yeah, you do have a point there. I do be dunking on McGregor a lot, so...
Like, I'm allowed to, because the fucker doesn't fight, he doesn't show up. I'm waiting for you and Chandler. Still waiting. I know what will happen. I know you're good for it. I know that's why you did Ultimate Fighter. I know you got this, Greggy.
Mm-hmm.
With all your legal troubles and becoming president of Ireland. I know you got this.
Oh, totally. But yeah, so, McGregor, whose last win was at welterweight, and lost his fight at the beginning of the year, is now the #1 contender for the lightweight championship by newly minted champion Eddie Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
McGregor goes in to the lightweight title fight and gives the performance of a fucking lifetime. To this day, the definition of flow state is that Conor McGregor fight.
Literally, I get quotes from him all the time about who the best fighter is. He gives me that night and that fight and that specific Conor McGregor.
Yep. The best fighter on the planet was November 2016 Conor McGregor when he faced Eddie Alvarez. That was the best fighter on the planet. That is the most dangerous fighter on the planet. 2016 Conor McGregor challenging for the title at Madison Square Garden in 2016 November. That is the best fighter ever. Totally. Because, Anthony, you watched the fight. It was fucking flawless. Like, that was, like, if you want, like, actual striking masterpiece, when mixed martial arts actually becomes, like, art, it is that fight. I will always glaze the fuck out of that performance.
I will say, I know you're glazing and whatnot, but I like that too, and I thought I got pretty close when we saw... Sorry, I'm trying to get the move over here for pets.
Yes.
When we saw Poirier versus Islam. If it wasn't for that ankle pick.
Honest to God, dude. Like, that Dustin, he would have been the champ, bro. He would have just retired right there as a champion. Also, I mean, Pereira did enter that flow state that 4th round against Roundtree back in October. That was a good fight, too.
But yeah, so it was really close, and that's the best I've seen a fighter. That's when they're in their element and they have it down. That's when, that's what I describe as the hunger. When I've said that once or twice on this, when they want it that bad, that there's just one thing, tunnel vision to the truest extent, where there's just one thing in the world they want, and they are going to get that.
And I mean, dude, that when we were in New Jersey, that fucking Prudential Center, UFC 302, man. When we was in there, that was the best version of Dustin Poirier I think I've ever fucking seen.
Yep.
And like ever, which was nice to see, seeming as that's my favorite fighter, and I've seen him have like,
Just because we're alive, you know.
yeah, I was there, we were live, and that was like, honest to God, the best version of Dustin Poirier I've ever seen. Like, but it just wasn't enough. Islam's too
Listen,
unbeatable.
anything but that ankle pick, we would have a new champ.
For real, yeah, he would have retired right on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Back to our new lightweight champion.
our new lightweight champion in the most stellar performance of a lifetime. Conor McGregor becomes the lightweight and featherweight champion simultaneously. Mind you guys, the featherweight title hasn't been defended in a fucking year to this point. And he wins both the belts, and then guess what? He says, "Alright, I'm gonna go box." he goes, he beats Eddie Alvarez, gets the 2 belts, and he goes, "Alright, I'm out.
Nah, I'm gonna go defend.
Nope, nah, I'm gonna go defend my featherweight belt. Nah, I'm gonna go defend my new belt. Nah," he said, "I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna go box Floyd Mayweather now." So, then he boxes Floyd Mayweather. He gets stripped of the 145 title.
You know what's funny? Like, describing this chain of events with Greggy, his eye seems to always have been on the money. Like, you know what would make the most money right now? Mayweather.
And just like, alright, peace. And then just hold up 2 divisions for another year. Meanwhile, when Conor McGregor's training to go and fight good old Floyd Mayweather, Tony Ferguson becomes the interim champion. He beats Kevin Lee in a very, very bloody
just
fight.
Misspoke there.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said Khabib was training to go fight Mayweather.
Oh, did I? Khabib wasn't fighting Mayweather,
No,
guys.
no.
McGregor was. It's been a long day.
Some people stick to their lanes.
Yeah.
Some people.
Not Conor. So as Conor was, training to become, trying to be the one to put the 1 and 50 and 1, 49 and 1 actually. It wasn't 50 yet. McGregor was the 50.
He was the 50.
McGregor was the 50. Before that, Tony Ferguson beats Kevin Lee in an interim championship fight. That was extremely bloody, by the way. It's like a very, very gruesome fight.
And the later Tony just does not live up to the legends.
I mean, El Kakui was alive and well that night. Triangle chokes Kevin Lee, wins the interim belt. It says, "Where you at, McNuggets?" And like early 2017, we're talking right now. And then that fight never ends up happening. So they actually, because Conor McGregor is training for...
Maybe GFL will make that fight happen.
No. GFL's not making shit.
They got Ferguson. Freaking Greggy might as well be a free agent.
At this point,
They might make it happen.
You never know. But
old, tired out, no depth perception.
It's Tony Ferguson and
first, I don't fight no more.
Conor
Greggy.
Yeah, that'd be a great fight, guys. Totally. Wonderful fight, even. But
pretty sure we're gonna see like 2 40-year-old men just getting there. Like, just done with this shit. Just like, all right, give me my paycheck.
Give me that paycheck. Nah, give me that paycheck. Give me that paycheck.
I got expenses. Got legal expenses to take care of.
They're just fucking fighting it out, man. But nah, so Tony Ferguson wins the interim belt and gets booked to face Khabib for the interim belt. Twice. Doesn't materialize. They also
Twice,
tried...
Why not just once?
Because they tried to make that fight, because it was the best fight to make at lightweight at that time. Because Tony Ferguson was on that crazy winning streak, and so was Khabib. So why not? Honest to God, that fight almost happened. If Tony Ferguson didn't fucking trip on a camera cord and bust his fucking knee, we would have seen that fight, guys. But eventually, time came, 2018-ish, like early 2018, late 2017, where they failed to book Tony Ferguson and Khabib a couple times. They just said, we starting fresh. We are going to get rid of Conor McGregor as champion. We're gonna strip him of the title.
What's that, like 2-3 years now?
That's just about. Mind you guys, featherweight finally moved on in 2017 when Conor went to go and fight Mayweather because then we had Jose Aldo and Max Holloway fight for it, and then Max Holloway won. So featherweight moved on. Lightweight didn't quite move on yet, mind you. Lightweight has also been on hold for about a year now, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna do it like this. Tony, not the interim champion because he's injured. Conor, not the lightweight champion because he's not fighting. Khabib, go in there and face Max Holloway. Right? All right, fine. Yeah, we figured it out. Tony's hurt. We can't have Tony take the interim championship away from him. So therefore, Khabib gets a fair shot still because he did deserve it at the time. And then we have our newly minted featherweight champion.
Would Ferguson have gotten the next guy that whoever won because
Yeah.
he was interim champ?
Yep. So they're like, okay, we'll do that. All right, we fixed it. We fixed it. Max Holloway's gonna fight. Nope. Nope. Max Holloway gets deemed unfit to compete by doctors because of a bad weight cut.
So, he had that ramen.
If he had that ramen, it would have been okay.
If he didn't have that ramen.
If he didn't have that ramen,
you would have seen that fight.
Probably would have saw that fight, and that would have been a good fight. Honest to God, I don't have faith that Max Holloway would have won that fight, but you never know, But so Khabib ends up fighting Al Iaquinta, the number 10 ranked lightweight in the fucking world.
We've seen number 10s go for their title shots.
Yeah.
This happened in the flyweight, right?
Yeah, Urseg ended up going up against Pantoja because there was like nobody for Pantoja. So
hey, shit happens. We get it.
Yeah, and that's what happened with lightweight here. And then Khabib, unsurprisingly, ends up beating Al Iaquinta.
Really? He beat number 10?
Yeah. And then he becomes the undisputed lightweight champion. And then Tony's just kind of hanging out in limbo somewhere, just injured. I don't know when I fucking forget when he fought again. I think he finally fought again against Donald Cerrone in like 2019, maybe. Like, and then like after that, it was the downfall of Tony Ferguson. But this episode isn't about Tony Ferguson.
Maybe we'll do a fighter spotlight on him.
We did already.
We did?
Yeah.
Did we put it out?
Yeah, it's out.
Okay.
It's in the playlist right now. You guys can check it out.
I don't know. We since recording this, I would say we got rid of like 3 different episodes, one of which was the Holloway one.
Yeah.
So we're gonna reshoot that during his next fight. I don't know which ones we have and haven't gotten.
Yeah, we have Tony Ferguson, Volkanovski, and Dustin Poirier
right
now. Those are our 3 fighter spotlights.
Gotcha.
Actually, we're due for another one of those. Maybe after the Gaethje fight, we'll do it on Gaethje. Win or lose. Because then it's still relevant. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Okay, so back to Khabib. Khabib wins the title to April 2018. I remember because I was in Washington, D.C., and I was actually, like, semi-paying attention to it. I was like, wait, what the fuck? This fight card just got switched up, like, 10 million times. It was supposed to be this guy, then it was this guy, now it's this guy? What the fuck happened? Now, mind you guys, 2018, I wasn't really paying attention to fights all that much. I was like, I just kind of stumbled upon my feed one day, and I was like, UFC, isn't that like the cage fighting? And I looked at it, and I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, it was crazy, to say the least.
That's what it was. The other part-time, he is MMA practitioner.
Yes, sir.
That's what the other one was.
Yep, I train. Let's see, how many days a week do I train now? 4.
You just 5 things.
Yep.
Me, I just weld and play video games. It's pretty good.
I like welding. I like video games. I don't know how to weld, but I like it.
These are the 2 things I'm gonna do. Alright, so, DCU, sees that the fight for the night finally got confirmed. This is how the switch up happened. This is how it's going down. You see that Khabib whips fucking Quinta's ass.
Yep. And then Khabib's like, I want to fight with your chicken. Actually, no, wait, he didn't say it. Well, he did say it again then when he won the title, but on the same card, I'm backtracking a little bit. We'll go back to 2016 when Conor McGregor did Masterful Performance. That same card, a lot of y'all might have forgot. Khabib was on the prelims. Yeah, Khabib on the prelims is wild, I know. But he was on the prelims and he beat Michael Johnson, Michael the coin flip Johnson, and then
Still flipping coins to this day.
yeah, he's still flipping coins to this day. And then he goes, UFC, Hunter, Dana, I want to fight with your chicken. This guy, he tap out like chicken beginning of year, end of year he fight for title. He said, this is number one bullshit. So, which it was.
Khabib only Dagestan approved by Steven.
Yes, and that was correct. It was number one bullshit. He said, this is number one bullshit. And then he concluded by saying, hey guys, Ireland, only 8 million people. Russia, 250 million. I want to fight with your chicken. This is the number one easy fight in lightweight division. And then he walked off stage. And then Conor McGregor was like, yeah, right, stay on that prelims, kid. You know, little did he know that Khabib would start ripping and killing shit over the next couple years.
It's not that he didn't know, I just don't think he cared. I think he saw the spotlight, got caught up in it. At that point, he wasn't even. He had known he wasn't fucking defending his belt.
Yeah, he goes, why don't you go ahead and stick to the fucking prelims, kid? And then a rivalry started to bud.
Yeah, I'll come back to this later, but I don't actually think Khabib cared about the belts. I'll get back to that later when it's time.
All right, now we're going to fast forward 2 years again. Conor McGregor's already lost to Floyd Mayweather. Khabib just became champion. Now, another thing that happened during that fight week, right before Ally Quinta and Khabib were set to fight, Conor McGregor did some Conor McGregor things. Conor and Khabib's teams have already been beefing to this point, you know, and Artem Lobov, one of Conor's teammates, ended up, running into Khabib in the lobby right before the fights because and he was like, yo, you a bitch, right? And then Khabib was like, what did you say? You know, they're getting up in each other's faces, and then Khabib smacks the fuck out of Artem Lobov. And this gets Conor McGregor so damn mad. And it's also due to the fact that Dylan Dennis, or as I like to call him, Dildo Dennis, because I fucking hate the guy, Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach, Dildo Dennis was talking mad shit to Khabib after he, won the title. And even, he was, trash talking the shit out of Khabib, right? And then that prompted Artem to be like, monkey see, monkey do. My Dildo Dennis just did this, so now I'm gonna go talk shit to Khabib's face. And then Khabib smacks the piss out of him. This gets Conor McGregor so fucking mad. The bro hops on a private jet to Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center. And then, which I've actually been to the arena. It's a very nice arena. And Conor comes up with his gang of 10 people. He grabs one of those dollies that you would take packages in on. And he just fucking hums it at the bus that Khabib was in. He's saying, come outside, you mad rat!
See, this is the part I was getting to just a second ago when I left that statement. It wasn't ever the belts that Khabib cared for, and he never cared about the trash talk. It was the disrespecting of his team. I mean, obviously, it was well justified disrespect. I mean, if you call me a bitch in fight regards, and we're both fighters, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you too.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't about the belts for him or anything. It was about respect for Khabib. No, respect of Khabib for Greggy.
Yep.
That's what I think really set Greggy off and got him back into the octagon.
Yeah, he's like, come outside, you mad rat! Come outside! They come on and fight! And I'm like, dude, you have 10 fucking people with you. If you wanted to just have a 1-to-1 fight with Khabib, show up with just you.
He said he wanted everyone on that bus.
Nah, he wanted everyone on that bus. And this caused some damages because, guys, at the same time, when the fucking Dolly bus incident happened, Max Holloway was still considered to be the fighter, right? when that happened, so Rose Namajunas got hurt from some shattered glass, so didn't Michael Chiesa. So they both had to pull out of their respective fights because of the cuts that they were sustained from. And it also sucked because these fighters on the bus, they were getting transported to the hospital and shit. Not the hospital, the hotels and shit. And they're cutting weight. Like, we're dead in the middle of fight week. Like, the fighters are miserable right now. You know, I'm like, and Conor McGregor just kind of walks up in here all willy nilly and just hucks a fucking dolly through the bus. Like,
Hey, he was the guy. Even then, even stripped of the belt, I think he was still Dana White's guy.
2018, yeah, for sure. He still was. It was this fight that really changed him for the worse, I'll be honest. But, then later on that week, and then Khabib said probably the most death-threatening message to Conor. He goes, "I can't understand why he did this." He goes, "If you want to fight," he goes, "You want to fight? We go." He said, "Send me message like location. Send me location. Are we gonna fight? Don't care if it's Brooklyn, if it's Ireland, if it's Russia. We're gonna fight. It's just send me location, right?" And so like Khabib fucking meant business here. And then Conor there was a warrant out for Conor's arrest. This is property damage. This is a felony. So there's a warrant out for Conor's arrest. Conor McGregor gets arrested. And then he gets a slap on the wrist.
Mustn't make comments.
Yep. Then the brother gets a slap on the wrist. For literal property damage and injuring two other fighters, this motherfucker got 18 hours of community service. That's it.
Hey, nowadays in today's times, felonies don't really stop people from getting what they want.
Oh yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I'm just gonna sit. I'll let y'all sit with that real quick.
God, I enjoy you.
Same. There was definitely no underlying message behind that comment at all. Anyway, back to Conor and Khabib. Khabib's like, "Send me message, send me location. We gotta fight, right?" And then Khabib goes, beats Alec, and he goes, "I want to fight with the chicken." And then he's like, what's he want to do? He want to fight with Bus. He goes, "You want to fight with Bus? Now, fight with me." You know. He goes, "This is," and he said it again. It's echoed the comments that he made in 2016. "This is number one easy fight in lightweight division."
So another thing about this, and at this moment it's very, poignant to comment on it, is you can see between these two respect. Just kidding. I'm not talking about the respect you guys are thinking of. You can tell Khabib respects the discipline and the sport.
Yes.
You can see that Greggy doesn't,
Yes.
because he's just there because he slated against him.
Yep.
He didn't care about the division. He didn't care about the belt. He cared about making the money. Well respected businessman, but fighter, not as respectful.
No, not at all. He has no respect for the game at this point in time. Khabib did. So I think that's really a big part of the beef as well. On top of the personal insults that happen. But moving on, Connor's like, okay, yeah, he does his community service. He goes into training camp, and then it's booked. It's booked for October 6th, 2018. I remember because this was like the first time, my first initial exposure to UFC was right here. My first oh wait, I kind of want to watch this. You know what I mean? Was right here. This moment in time. I didn't deep dive into the sport until like 2020 because I was bored and had nothing to do. Then I started watching a little bit, and then that's when I started following it. But I didn't really know any names. I just wanted to watch the fights.
On this note, when did Lesnar do his run in UFC?
Oh my god, that was like 2009. I was a
Yeah,
baby.
because I watched Lesnar growing up and whatnot in WWE. I didn't even know about the UFC things until a couple months ago when he said he actually became champion here. I'm actually surprised that of my inexposure to UFC with a name like Brock Lesnar, having known who Brock Lesnar was at the time, because if it was 2009, that put me in like ninth grade.
Yeah, you would have been paying attention.
And I didn't hear like anything about UFC, so just goes to show how small it was compared to WWE.
Yeah, it's true. So and Brock Lesnar was the biggest thing at that time, like 2008, 2009. That was Brock Lesnar's time in WWE. 2010, and I think his contract ended in 2011. Then he came back to WWE. Then he came back for one more fight, lost, and went back to WWE. Then he was teasing that he was going to come back and face DC, but then DC retired and he went back to WWE, and then Brock Lesnar went back to WWE. Never got to see DC and Lesnar, although I would have loved to see that fight. That would have been a good one. But anyway, back to Conor and Khabib. So Conor does his community service. Khabib says he wants to fight with the bus. Have him fight me. Then the fight gets booked. 6 October 2018. I was a freshman in high school.
So, to get Greggy in the ring, we just need him to be accused of property damage?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, moving on. This was like my first like initial exposure to UFC. Like I had known about it. I've seen it everywhere. Like I knew what it was about. You know, it was bigger when I was growing up than it was when you were. Like it was a little bit more prominent. Like I remember Conor McGregor winning the title vaguely. I wasn't watching it live, but I do remember on watching ESPN Sports Center one morning with my dad. I remember watching Conor McGregor knock out the Jose Aldo, and then he's standing on top of the cage with the belt in his hand. And then I also saw when he beat Eddie Alvarez, same thing, Sports Center. I used to watch a lot of Sports Center with my dad in the mornings. So whenever he was off on like Sundays or something like that, so I'd watch Sports Center with him.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever actually kept track of ESPN or Sports Center.
I haven't in years. But
I know that the Padres are goated.
yes, fucking love the Padres, but Red Sox all day. I'm sorry, Anthony.
It's okay.
But moving on. And this was my first like time I was like actually paying attention. I was like, all right, let me pay attention to this fight, and because I knew Conor McGregor to this point because everybody at school would talk about him, and I knew what he did, and I knew mixed martial arts and whatnot, but I was never really followed it. I did hear. I was like, okay, let me watch that fight when it happens. I remember seeing some clips on my YouTube feed come up, Conor McGregor talking trash on Khabib, and then I remember watching their press conference as a freshman in high school, because that's where I was in life at this point in time. And then I watched that fight actually at old little fucking dive that used to be around here. Wing dive, a little wing bar, known as Boneheads. R.I.P. Boneheads. Miss you guys so much.
Moment of silence for Boneheads?
Moment of silence for Boar's Head, real quick, guys.
Not Bonehead,
Boneheads.
Alright.
Alright, moment of silence, it's over. Losing Boneheads was like losing a friend, by the way, guys. So I went there and I watched McGregor. I got my dad. I was like, Dad, look, Conor McGregor's fighting. You know him, because my dad knew him by this point too. He's like, yeah, I know him. I'm like, he's fighting. They're showing it at Boneheads. Let's go. You know, and he's like, sure. So I go there. We watch the fight, and holy hell in a handbasket. Conor McGregor got fucking mauled. He talked so much shit going into that fight. He insulted Khabib's family, insulted his team, his religion, his like everything. He just threw so much shit in his direction, crossed so many lines. And the thing that I thought was the worst was he tried to get Khabib to drink whiskey. As and if you guys don't know, in the Islam religion, alcohol's a no-no, and Khabib was a practicing Muslim. So when he did that, I was like, damn, bro, that's just wild. It was on Khabib's birthday, because his birthday was in September, and then Conor McGregor and him were supposed to fight in October. So he tried to give Khabib a fucking glass of whiskey on his birthday, and then that wasn't good.
Damn, we should have brought out the proper number 12 for this one.
Nah, the proper number 12's in the garage, kid. So
it got mauled.
Conor McGregor got fucking mauled, guys. Let me tell you something. I mean, he did win one round. He won round 3. I will give him that. And his takedown defense on the first initial shot that Khabib took at him in round number 1, stellar. Great takedown defense. You know? You can tell Conor actually trained for this fight. In that first initial grappling exchange. But then, you know, Conor cardio doesn't hold up very well over time. So he just gets mauled for 2 rounds, and then Khabib does this stupid idea and decides to stand in front of Conor McGregor and just fucking fight him. Which, that was why Conor McGregor ended up winning that round, because no takedowns were attempted. It was a kickboxing fight. in the middle of the octagon. I'm like, dude, you're standing in front of one of the greatest strikers in UFC history, and you're just okay with this? And to be honest, guys, I love Khabib. He's a great guy. The dude striking, there's more to be desired there. Uh,
Well, you don't strike against Bear. You wrestle Bear.
yes, but you wrestled with Bear, so I understand. But let me tell you, Khabib's striking, and a lot more to be desired.
Are you gonna punch a bear?
No, I'm not punching Bear. I will rest. I don't even want to wrestle with Bear.
I rather choke the thing to sleep than assault it.
Same. I think I was just pissed it off more, honestly. But anyway, so Khabib mauls Conor, like ground and pound to hell and back. He's talking to him when he's in the octagon. He's like, "What happened? I thought you wanted to talk. Talk now!" As he's fucking raining hell on him, he's like, "Talk now!" And just viscerating his face in. And Khabib said in his final statement that before the fight, like the ceremonial weigh-ins the night before, he was like, "I gonna change his face. I want to change his face," which is scary coming from somebody like Khabib. I don't want Khabib telling me he wants to change my face. That's not something I wish to do, you know?
You don't wish to experience that?
Nope. And then
Really?
he's like, "I gonna fight with," he goes, "and people from Ireland," because like a bunch of people from Ireland were there booing the absolute holy hell out of Khabib. And then he goes to everybody that came out here from Ireland, "Thank you so much. But tomorrow night, I gonna smash your boy. I gonna smash your boy, guys." And he goes, "I gonna beat the chicken," which could be taken in multiple directions, Khabib, but I understand. Just to
Speak
be
English well.
yes. He goes, "I gonna smash your boy, guys. I gonna smash your boy." And then, boy, howdy, he did. He smashed the boy. Fucking pounded Connor's face in, was talking shit while he was pounding the face, and I'm like, this is just Khabib's revenge right now. And like this dude, you could tell he like truly fucking hated Conor McGregor.
Revenge of the Nurmagomedov.
Like, dude, I have never seen a man so hateful towards another man in this sport ever than this very moment right here. Like, yeah, I mean, John Jones at DC was pretty fucking heavy. So wasn't Garbrandt and Dillashaw. That was a pretty heated rivalry as well. But this one, man, you can tell, like, and plus it means something from when you're going up against someone like Khabib, who's like an overall like respectful dude. Like he wants to, just you're just my opponent. You're not my enemy.
Yeah, if you take the two guys into account by themselves, like I said, Khabib's very much more respectful than Conor McGregor.
Yeah, McGregor kind of lives that baller life. He's got that douchebag persona.
He's just there for the money.
Yeah, but like Khabib, like himself, he's actually like a pretty quiet dude. Like he's a private guy. He doesn't do a lot of media stuff. Even when he was fighting, when he had to do media stuff, he didn't do a lot of media stuff. And if he did, it was purely about the fight. He never really talked much about his personal life. Like I actually had to do additional research to find out that Khabib has two kids. Like and like
Some people like privacy.
and that's fine. I respect it. But Khabib's like a rather private guy, and like if there's a man that is, I don't want to like as mild mannered as Khabib, when he doesn't like somebody, and he like because it meant more from a guy that's not usually very hateful towards anybody to be hateful towards this one particular guy, because fuck that guy. It says something, and I could tell like Khabib truly hated Conor McGregor at that moment in time. I don't know if he still does now. I mean, it's been years now. It's been almost 7 years now. But
I think at this point, Khabib's okay with how things are. Greggy will just always hold that vengeance.
yeah, because he never got it back. So anyway, spoiler alert. Conor McGregor gets choked out in the fourth round. It wasn't even a choke. It was what we call a fulcrum choke, which is kind of like a crank, but it's on your chin right here. But they also pull you back, so you also like you're feeling like the forearm bone digging into your jaw, like Robert Whitaker, Hamza
Yeah, I
Chimaev
was gonna
style.
say.
Like Whitaker, Hamza Chimaev style, and the squeeze on Khabib is something to behold that needs to be studied by doctors. The amount of force that can be given in that like that, it needs to be studied by scientists and by doctors. So, on top of that, he's like this. He's got the grip behind the head like this. Like his hands are locked like this. That's a very hard to break lock, and he's just it's like a bully choke almost. And he's just like pushing on you. You're feeling like the bones digging into your jaw. I've been in a fulcrum choke. It sucks. It feels like your head's about to pop, and you also feel pressure on your back as well because they're like, because Khabib didn't like put the hooks in like you normally do when you go up against somebody in jiu-jitsu, and then you kind of give yourself a hug while their head's right here. Nah, he's like behind him on his knees, just pulling on him with all his might, and it
Trying
feels
to
like
rip his head off.
trying to rip his head off essentially, or break his spine for that matter. And then like it feels like your head's gonna pop, and it feels like your back's gonna get separated from
And
at the
then
seam.
and then Conor tapped like chicken.
And then Connor tapped like chicken. And then Connor tapped like chicken. And then after Connor taps like chicken, Khabib stands up, says, "I fucked you up. I fucked you up, bitch," and spat on him. Like legit went hot.
From a very respectful guy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know that meant some.
Yeah, like it's straight, like right at the back of Conor McGregor's head, just hold on loogie right there. And he said, "I fucked you up. I fucked you up." You know, stuff like that. Like Khabib truly hated Conor McGregor, and then Khabib was like, "I'm not satisfied by that. He didn't go to sleep. He tapped out, and I can guarantee you guys that if Herb Dean wasn't in that octagon, Khabib would have killed Conor McGregor right there in the octagon. Conor would have died. Conor McGregor would have fucking died if Herb Dean wasn't there. Because even when Herb Dean was trying to break the lock, Khabib held on for a little while. I'm like, Conor McGregor would have been subtracted from the population had Herb Dean slipped up a little bit. You know?
He would have stolen Strickland's kill.
Like, I truly, truly can tell you, Khabib would have killed him. Like, 100%. And I know that sounds really ridiculous in hindsight because, like, it happened so many years ago now. But, like, at that time, you have to understand what it was like. There was so much darkness that surrounded this entire fight. It felt real. I mean, it was real, obviously.
Yeah.
And it felt real. Now, there's a difference between it being real and it feeling real. And if it is both real and feels real, that is, like, the most extreme. Like, that is exactly what this fight felt like when it happened. Like, there was so much darkness that clouded this entire thing. And then after that, Khabib's like, "I fucked you up," spat on Conor McGregor, walks over to Conor McGregor's corner, starts cussing out Dylan Dennis. Hey, he hops over the fence, goes leaping down to Dylan Dennis, and just starts beating the holy hell out of him. and then on top of that, then people from Khabib's crew came into the octagon. They were jumping, and Conor was he was standing back. You know, he was just kind of chilling. You know, he was like, "All right, I gotta hold on. I can't go and do that. I can't go over there right now." But then Khabib's guys jump in and they jump Conor. Like two guys are on Conor McGregor, like beating him up. And then Conor's like he punches one of them and sends him flying. And then he wards the other brother off. And then Islam Makhachev comes in, a young Islam Makhachev comes in to go and throw a right hand at Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor slips that punch and hits him with the left hand. There's an aerial image. You can look at it. It's actually a really cool little image of Conor McGregor just landing the punch on Islam. And then, you know, the other Islam's hand whizzing by his head. It's kind of a cool image. Despite me not really liking Conor in this, he kind of deserved to get jumped and fucked up at the end of this fight because Conor McGregor, man, in the build up to this fight was just visceral. This guy
the beating he deserved.
It was the beating that he deserved. He was the Joker. Like, honest to God, he was the fucking Joker. Like that was who Conor McGregor was at this very moment. And not to say that Khabib was Batman, but he was pretty much Batman in this sense. Like, if I'm to put it in that kind of term, that's exactly what this was. The amount of torment that Conor McGregor was giving Khabib was at the same level as the Joker to Batman. Like, maybe not the same level, but maybe not the same level.
I wasn't going to correct you.
But
I wasn't going to point out, so he beat up the apprentice and killed him in front of him.
No.
I wasn't going to say that.
I
was going to tell you after the podcast.
Yeah, well, maybe not exactly. I mean, comic books and reality.
To an extent.
To an extent. The torment that Conor McGregor put on Khabib was similar to the Joker. And it was like, it was crazy that entire, both men got suspended for like a year after that. Conor McGregor wouldn't return in 2019. Wouldn't fight at all. And then after that, Khabib wouldn't fight until September of 2019. So I guess technically he was like 11 month suspension. Um, but then again, I don't know if it was a suspension in the United States, seeming as he fought Dustin Poirier September 2019 in Abu Dhabi. Maybe the legislation's different there. Plus, it's Khabib in Abu Dhabi. That's about as close as it gets to fucking Russia. So, maybe it was different there. So he was technically still out of the state, but uh, allowed to fight in Abu Dhabi. But he fought Dustin Poirier in his next fight. He'd go on to beat Dustin. But Conor McGregor, man, has. I want to talk about Conor. Then I'll talk about Khabib after. Because let me tell you something about Conor McGregor after this fight. Conor's not been the same. This was the fight that broke him, 100%. I can almost guarantee you that's what happened. Like, this was the fight, on top of the money, obviously. The money's going to cloud your vision. It's tough to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning if you're sleeping in silk sheets. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to get up at 5 and go for a run when your bed's nice and comfy. You know? Or you have a Beauty Rest black mattress. You know, or a sleep number bed. Some bullshit like that. Some bougie-ass mattress. But it's tough to do that. So, on top of the money, I think this fight kind of broke Conor. Like, Conor's not been the same since this fight. At all. Like, sure, Conor in his next fight, he'd fight again in January 2020 before the world went to shit. And then he'd win. But he was beating an aging Donald Cerrone. So, I mean, it was a tune-up fight for Conor McGregor, essentially. And, but he's just not looked the same since then. He's not at the same level that he was 2015, 2016. Or even, I'd even say from 2013 to 2016, 2017 even. Like, that was like the peak Conor years right there, right? That's when you saw the best of Conor McGregor.
Well, yeah, you gotta think. That was his come up. That was his revenge against
Diaz.
Diaz, and then he comes to this immovable force that he couldn't and can't beat in fucking Khabib. That slows momentum. And then when you don't got to worry about something, when you don't got to worry about the next paycheck or even being on UFC's roster, because he doesn't at this point. He didn't have to. He already made fucking all the money he could ever try spending from the fucking fights leading up to it.
Leading up to end the Mayweather fight, he fucking made
Yeah,
a ton of money off of that.
The Mayweather one specifically, like, he was already over in regards to financial well-being.
Like, he had already set up his family for generations.
And when you're like that, then there's no real reason to keep pushing forward. Because like I said before, given these two, you have one guy, Conor McGregor, coming up, doesn't got much. He's making his way in the world, and he's finally made it. And then you got Khabib, who respects the discipline and the martial arts enough that he just wants to be the best at what he does. He's not doing it for monetary gain and whatnot. If he does, I'm sure Dana White could offer him several more paychecks if he was willing to accept it. But because of his belief, and because he doesn't care for financial value and whatnot, he doesn't need to keep on being that guy. Right now, he's training a fucking great team. They're all killing it. Every single fucking one of them.
Every fucking one of them.
And it pisses us off because they beat our guys.
All the time.
Except for that one. Didn't we see, brother or cousin get beat?
Yeah, we saw Khabib's cousin get beat, Umar.
Except for that one fucking time. They beat all our fucking guys.
All the time.
And it pisses us off.
Like, what the fuck? We can't win.
But that's why, given right now, if you were to give Greggy a match, and if you were to give Khabib a match, not even against each other, I'm sure that Khabib has at least 3 times the chance than Greggy does.
1,000%.
It's just what they value is different.
It's true, and that's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I think that was, like, kind of like the whole, like, the backbone of the beef. You know what I mean? Like, it came down to, like, I mean, yeah, you had the actual physical beef, the shit talking and whatnot, but it came down to the morals. You know what I mean?
I did this for money. I did this because I liked it.
Yeah,
It's
and
that.
that's it, the moral highway was taken by Khabib, and then Connor said, "I just use this to get to where I need to be."
Yeah,
You know, which fair. I would have done the same shit.
exactly.
You know,
You get your bread.
yeah, go get that bread up. But honestly, I feel like the end is coming right now, since we've pretty much covered all of this. But Connor,
Well,
he never.
we can go into a bit of a epilogue of this,
Yeah,
cause and I'll set that up right now because you were kind of approaching the end there. So at the start of this specific this rivalries and whatnot, during the prologue, we talked a lot more so about Conor McGregor's come up, him getting there, and how the beef started. Towards the end of this, we can talk about what Khabib has been doing. Obviously, we mentioned it, it's like his training camp and whatnot, his gym, where he is right now, how he's no longer a Russian citizen, all that type of stuff.
evaded taxes real quick, Mr. Khabib.
Just a little bit, you know.
He's evaded, based Khabib. Anyway,
So I think a good point to take this up on is after the Khabib and Greggy fight, right? We see Khabib a few more times. Greggy, we see
couple more
him.
times,
We see
but
him
but
too.
it's not as good as he once was.
I'll say this is Hollywood Greggy,
Hollywood McGregor.
and we go on to see freaking Khabib tear shit up. Is he 30-0 or is it 29?
29.
29-0. Obviously we have our own merits about that. He didn't fight. The right guys weren't put against him. He was kind of fed him.
Yes.
Uh, Greggy, I'm assuming, kept fighting until a loss occurred, or
All right. So basically, I'll go to Conor McGregor first. So McGregor's not been the same since then. He had one more fight. He was suspended all of 2019. He could not fight in the UFC. He was suspended. You know, because the whole brawl at the end of the fight. You know, and then he goes on. He comes back in 2020, beginning of 2020. He beats Cowboy Cerrone, who's like 38 to this point. Like he's not the same anymore. He beats him, and then yay, Conor McGregor got a win after Khabib. He bounced back, hooray! Right? Yeah, you gave him a tune-up fight against an aging Donald Cerrone. I mean, take of that as you will, but it just seems to me they're like, okay, Conor, we still have faith in you. Here's a guy we think you can beat. Go ahead and beat him. And he did beat him. He beat him in stellar fashion. It was like a great head kick knockout, like a 50-second fight. It was typical Conor McGregor, you know? And then Conor McGregor, again, due to world circumstances mostly, in 2020. We all know what happened then. So in 2020, Conor McGregor, he couldn't quite get a visa to get back to the United States because obviously we had a pandemic going on. Air travel was a little complicated, so it was tough for McGregor to get the working visa to come to the United States and work. So he just stood in Ireland for a little while. There were a couple of fights that happened. They tried to make Khabib and Tony again after. Now I guess I'm kind of going into Khabib now.
no,
Uh,
we can do the back and forth because I know a bit more about what happens with Greggy too.
yeah. So Conor McGregor can't. It doesn't fight for the rest of 2020. Although everybody wanting him to face people like Justin Gaethje or Khabib again, obviously was always on the table. Like Conor wants to get that win back, get that loss back rather, seeming as he didn't quite forget about it when he lost to Diaz. I can definitely tell you, Conor McGregor doesn't like losing
He's
for
a bit
sure.
petty.
He
Bit
is a
petty.
bit petty, a little childish, so he does not like to lose. So, and when he doesn't get a chance at that redemption, it irks him. I can tell. But they would try to make Khabib and Tony again because Khabib's already fought Dustin Poirier to this point and beat him. So there, everybody's like, "Oh, who's gonna face Khabib next? Who's gonna do it? Oh, Tony Ferguson. Here's our chance. Tony wasn't on a giant losing streak yet." They were like, "Let's do it. Let's do Tony and Khabib," and that was set for April of 2020. And I don't think you need me to tell you what happened in April of 2020. We were kind of all locked down, dude.
Shut down.
Total shutdown. So that fight did not happen again. And eventually, so then Tony Ferguson, who lived in the United States, is like, okay, I can still fight. I need a paycheck, you know. Let me fight somebody. In comes Justin Gaethje. In comes Justin Gaethje, who's fighting tomorrow. At the time of this recording, I don't know if he won or not. Don't tell me in the comments yet. Actually, by the time this is uploaded, I will already know. So never mind. Go ahead, talk about it in the comments. So Justin Gaethje was available. He's coming off a win. Uh, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, let's make this for the interim title. You know, and whoever wins this gets Khabib when Khabib's able to come back. Justin Gaethje in an empty arena, which is kind of haunting, to be honest. Seeing an
I've seen
arena,
a couple of the footages from then.
yeah, like a whole ass. Like before they moved into the Apex, they would legit be in like empty fucking arenas, like nobody's there. It's a little chilling, to be honest, but at the
Or you
same
got a
time,
cameraman and a ref, you know?
you get the commentators, obviously, but Justin Gaethje would proceed to break El Kukui down tenfold. He beats the fucking piss out of Tony Ferguson. And it's like, it's so much to the point that Tony Ferguson didn't quite go down. Like, he didn't get knocked out. To this point, he still had his chin intact. So he was still, like, carved out of mahogany at this point in time.
Yep.
Because, like, we're still, like, they're coming off of, like, prime Tony Ferguson right now. Like, this, going into this fight, Justin Gaethje was a hefty underdog. I remember, because it was short notice. And Tony Ferguson was number one guy, and he's on a 13 fight winning streak to this point, 12 fight winning streak to this point, you know? And then he faces Gaethje, and Gaethje just beats the piss out of him. To everybody's surprise, Justin Gaethje beats him, which also, it shouldn't have been a surprise, you know?
Well, I mean, 12 and
Yeah,
out.
I guess so. I mean, Tony did lose before then, but, like, he wouldn't start losing until, like, we hadn't seen him lose in a while to this point. Like,
Yeah.
2013 to 2019, that 6 year span, this dude didn't lose. You know, and like, it's crazy shit. It was crazy shit. And then Justin Gaethje beats the piss out of him. Tony Ferguson doesn't get knocked out per se, but he gets hit so hard. He's like out on his feet. He's like this, right? And like Gaethje's just
knockout.
and like Gaethje's just pouring it on him. And plus, we know Gaethje hits like a fucking truck, guys. Let's so
The only fist I think I'm more afraid of than Gaethje is Pereira's.
Pereira's,
And
yeah.
even then, it's kind of like, debatable.
Yeah, I mean, like the bro has cinder blocks for hands. I fucking swear, and he just beats the piss out of Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's quite literally shaking his skull around, trying to put himself back in the fight.
Gain some depth perception.
Lost some depth perception. And then Herb Dean calls the fight. Justin Gaethje, in an upset win, beats Tony Ferguson. He's going to face Khabib. Khabib goes on to fight Gaethje at the end of 2020, October 2020, and that would be the end of Khabib's career. He would choke out Justin Gaethje at the Apex, triangle choke, choked into sleep. And he would defend his title one last time, but unfortunately, going into that fight, Khabib had lost his father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. And this prompted Khabib. He had talked with his mom about it, and his mom didn't really want him to fight without his dad, since his dad was the one that actually got him involved with martial arts. He taught him to wrestle, taught him some striking.
So his father sent him against the bear.
Father sent him against bear. Father said go fight with the bear. And so Khabib talks with his mom. He decides that this is his last fight, and at 32 years old, Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov retires in the middle of the UFC Apex to an audience of nobody. Lays his belt down in the middle of the octagon with the gloves, with a victory over Justin Gaethje. Gaethje would go on to not fight for another year, but we're not talking about Gaethje. I'm gonna go back to Conor. Conor wouldn't fight again in 2020, like I mentioned, due to world circumstances. And just Conor McGregor in general. So
he's trying to spend some of the money he made.
So another fight gets booked after the Khabib fight, shortly after the Khabib fight. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier too. Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor had met before at lightweight. That's another rivalry we're gonna go over. Because that's one of my favorites for obvious reasons. So, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier 2, this time at lightweight. Both different fighters. Let's see, 2014, 2020. Trying to do the math here. That's what? How many years? 6? 6 years in between?
Yep.
Yep. So 6 years apart from each other. New weight class. Conor McGregor obviously had all the glitz, the glam, and whatnot. Dustin Poirier continued to just fucking fight. Because that's just what Dustin Poirier does. He
And he makes
fights.
hot sauces.
Oh, and he makes hot sauce. But he didn't have the hot sauce. Actually, no. He had just started the hot sauce brand going into this fight with Conor McGregor. Because I remember there's an image online where, that you'll never see again, probably, of Dustin Poirier holding proper number 12 in his hand. Conor McGregor holding Dustin Poirier's hot sauce in his hand. They're like arm to arm, all sorts of buddy. Looking at the camera, you're not gonna see that now. And then also I should tell you, this is another thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Cerrone fight. Conor McGregor, after losing to Khabib, was humbled as shit.
He becomes a babyface.
He became a babyface for a minute. You know, he had a bit of a babyface turn. He was really nice to Cowboy Cerrone in that build up to the fight. He was extremely nice to him. And then he was nice to Dustin Poirier and up to their second fight. Yeah, this was Conor McGregor's little babyface run. It was kind of crazy. I was like, I kind of like this humble McGregor. He got his ass kicked and he knows it, you know? So now he's like, let me not talk so much shit now. I kind of got my ass kicked last time I did that.
It looks a lot worse when you talk shit and then lose than if you talk nice and lose.
Yep. So there's an image, you know, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, all buddied, arm over each other. Dustin's holding the whiskey, Conor's holding the hot sauce. They fight at the Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, and Dustin Poirier lost the first round to Conor McGregor. Conor looked pretty good in that first round against Dustin Poirier, their second fight in 2021. We're January 2021 right now, for those of y'all that need a timestamp. So Dustin Poirier loses round number 1 to Conor McGregor, like, decisively. Conor McGregor's looking pretty good. And Conor was the favorite going into that fight. Slight favorite, but a favorite. And then second round happened. Fucking Dustin Poirier turned it up on him. Started picking his shots, and Dustin Poirier became the first person to ever knock out Conor McGregor. The first and only person to knock out Conor McGregor. So, because even when Conor lost in his amateur days, he got submitted. You know, he didn't get knocked out. Like, the first person to ever actually knock out Conor McGregor was Dustin Poirier. And that's really cool, for me at least. So, they win. Conor takes it like a champ. And he's like, alright, yeah, sure, I just fucking lost. Good fight, you know. And then Dustin's like, we're 1-1. We're 1-1. We gotta do a trilogy, right? Trilogy gets booked for Conor McGregor in July 2021. And this was about the time that, like, I started to deep dive into UFC, because I, like, really started to follow UFC, like, look into every fighter, look into all the fight cards, like, the end of 2020 into early 2021. You know, this was when I started becoming passionate about the sport.
I was gonna say, you paid attention to it. Then when the Khabib and Greggy fight, you focused onto it. Then this is when it became like a fixation for you.
A fixation or obsession, if you will. I think obsession's an unhealthy word, so I will say
that's why
fixation.
I said fixation.
So I will say fixation, even though a lot of people can tell you I have an obsession. Not like I have a whole show about it or anything like that. Not like I make no other Saturday plans when there's UFC on. And I'm 21 years old. I should be at clubs and bars. Nah, I'm home watching fights, dog. It's crazy.
It's a fixation, not an obsession.
Yeah, a lot of people could tell you. If you have a brain, you would say obsession, but for the sake of my own mental health, I will say fixation. This is when the fixation started. 2021, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. I was like, you know what? UFC is going to be my thing this year, I said in 2021. I started to get into it at the end of 2020, and then I was like, okay, yeah, let me fucking make this my personality now. And boy, howdy did I.
Fucking Kobe Covington. You know what? This is gonna be me now.
You know what? This is me. And so Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier would get booked for a trilogy. Then we started to see a different energy from McGregor now.
Was it a different energy?
Not really. It was familiar. But like to this point, it's Conor McGregor has lost so much fucking aura when it comes to his like trash talk now. He just looks silly talking shit to Dustin during the build up to this fight. Anybody that actually remembers it, I know it's some time ago now, like 4 years now, but if you remember, like all the way back then when the fight was like happening, it felt stupid. Like Connor, you were just super nice to both Donald Cerrone and the same guy you were shit talking like a couple of months ago. What the hell happened? It was silly. It really was silly. He looked like garbage doing it. I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to, bring back that kind of nostalgia for everybody. It's like, oh yeah, old Connor's back. Like, no, it was just dumb. It felt so paper thin.
See, he wasn't an Irish scrap at this point. He was an Irish entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's like, and then this is like the only time that like Conor McGregor has lost at a press conference. Conor McGregor press conferences, most of the time this dude's undefeated. He has one L, and it was to Dustin Poirier in this third fight building up to it because he was talking so much shit on him. He's like, I'm gonna walk you like a dog in that octagon tomorrow night. And then Dustin's like, come on, man. Like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? And then, like, Connor's like, ugh, why you were the one person in the press was like, Connor, you were really nice to Dustin last time. What happened now? Why are you talking to him like this? He goes, well, it's because I pity the man, you know? He goes, he's just a sad little hillbilly. And I'm like, you're bringing back the old insults that you were giving him back in 2014 to try to get into his brain again. But Dustin learned to this point to not let that get to his brain. And then the same reporter asked Dustin Poirier, why do you think Conor McGregor's acting like this towards you? After Conor just ripped him a new one, or at least attempted to. Dustin's like, I think the answer's pretty simple, man. It's because he got knocked the fuck out. You know? Because he got knocked the fuck out. That's why he's acting like this. I'm like, 10-7 Dustin Poirier this entire fucking press conference. It was so paper thin. It just felt silly watching Conor McGregor try to be this. And again, like, dude, what are you doing? You look like an idiot right now. Like, just go in there and fight. They go in there, they fight. Conor comes out looking pretty good as the round goes on. Dustin Poirier gains control, lands some fucking vicious ground and pound on Conor McGregor. Almost TKOs him, but then ends up, they get back to their feet. Conor McGregor takes a step back after getting a kick checked, and well, I think you guys have seen the video by now.
Snappy.
Fucking Conor McGregor said, "Want to see my best impression of a glow stick?" Bro fell backwards, broke his whole tibia right in half, and we have not seen Conor McGregor since. It has been 4 years.
No, we saw his ass.
Yeah, we saw his ass in in Roadhouse. We saw his ass in Roadhouse. But we have not seen Conor McGregor
in
an octagon in 4 years to this point. And I can tell you guys right now, take the rose tinted glasses off. Conor's not coming back.
No, he's coming back to fight Chandler. But that's a legacy of Greggy. Don't take this away from me. That's a legacy of Greggy. The legacy of Khabib, though, is a lot more in depth than what happened to Greggy. And I think this stems from his respect of MMA. Because since then, he's trained 2 or 3 champions.
Two champions.
2 champions.
Yep.
And that's in both. Is it PFL?
It's PFL now, but it was Bellator.
That's in both of these. Because he started a gym, obviously showing his love for the game and whatnot. He's got his, what the fuck are these? Dagestanis. They ride like horsemen on our favorite fighters.
All the time, and it makes us super sad.
We know they can be defeated, though.
Yes, we saw one lose to Merab Dvalishvili, of all fucking people. Ugh, Jesus.
And so coming out of this rivalry, I think as far as MMA goes, we know Khabib respected it more.
Became a coach, trained 2 champions.
But I will say that, yeah, Greggy did more for the sport at this rate. And I say that because it's probably like 3-4 times the size it was before he showed up.
Oh my gosh, 1,000%. I'd even say 5 times.
And I'd say that this fight and this rivalry is the the creme de la creme of it.
The capstone of it all.
Yeah.
Like what has propelled this sport into how big as it is now was not only because of Conor McGregor himself, but because of this rivalry. Because on top of that, Khabib was a very popular guy because of his purity. Essentially, I don't want to say purity; it's a weird word,
No,
but
purity of the sport.
purity of the sport.
Like pure love of the sport.
Because of his like purity and like belief in the sport, people loved Khabib for that. Because like he's an MMA purist. Like this guy's like it's respect. You have to go to gym. You have to train. You have to
bear.
you have to fight bear. You have to train. You have to respect the gym. You have to respect the octagon. You have to respect your opponent. They're not your enemy. You know, stuff like that. You gotta get up. You gotta train. You gotta be disciplined. You gotta be a yes sir, yes ma'am type person. You know what I mean? And just work your ass off. That is Khabib and his philosophy of MMA, and that belief is what propelled him to creating the two champions that he has right now in Usman Nurmagomedov, his cousin, and Islam Makhachev, his brother in arms, essentially. So I mean, they're friends. They're not technically related, but let's be honest, guys. Khabib and Islam are brothers at this point. So like because of this Khabib's love for the sport, he has trained two champions, and they fucking kill everybody. And Conor
Yeah.
continues to be relevant. I mean, let's be honest. Like this dude is still like an A-list celebrity to
Honestly,
this
I
point.
only saw the new Roadhouse because Gregory was in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the dude is still relevant and still brought eyes to the sport. Those two fights he did with Dustin Poirier are some of the best telling pay-per-views of all time. Even now, and they have his name on it.
I mean, even when you say it like that, if you're talking pay-per-view numbers with Greggy, doesn't he have like 4 of the highest?
Yeah. 4 of the 5 biggest UFC pay-per-views are Conor McGregor headlined.
No, you're talking about UFC because does Mayweather pay off big bucks too?
Mayweather's the highest pay-per-view sold like ever. I'm pretty sure that it's either that one. That's definitely the one that Conor sold the most. But it's either that one or Pacquiao and Mayweather. Those are like the 2 best-selling pay-per-views of all time. That's like 1 and 2. Conor McGregor is on those posters. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of the best, the highest grossing pay-per-view of all time in UFC history is UFC 229, which is when when McGregor Khabib happened.
So, while we joke on, I'm not gonna say we, I know you do too, but while I mainly joke on him all the time, especially for not showing up, you can never take away what Greggy did for the sport.
He
But
brought he brought the clout.
but as far as in the sport, I'm going with Khabib all day.
Yeah, like Khabib is the MMA purist. His abilities are like next to stellar, like next to perfection. Like and the fact that he's been able to pass that down to these peoples that I even give the argument that Islam has surpassed Khabib to this point. But guess who's still the mastermind behind Islam Makhachev? Khabib. So like
Father plan.
it's father plan. You know, and then even Usman Nurmagomedov, he's probably the most popular fucking Bellator fighter. And it's because of Khabib.
Not the drug charges. I mean, cough.
I mean, damn. Oh, my bad. Like, Khabib is, like, top of the abilities, and that's what he's always believed in. And Conor McGregor always brought eyes. He always brought clout. That's exactly what he did in the aftermath of the Conor and Khabib fight. So, Khabib would go on to cement his legacy a little bit more after Conor McGregor. He would go and beat Dustin Poirier. He would go and beat Justin Gaethje, and then he would retire on top. It sucks because there's a lot of fights at lightweight that I fucking wanted to see with Khabib in it. I would have loved to see Khabib and Charles Oliveira fight one day. I would have loved to see how Khabib would do against someone like Armin Sarukian or Mateusz Gamrot. You know, I mean, I'd have faith that Khabib would get it done, but at the same time, you never know. Maybe not with Oliveira. That one's a little bit. But I would have loved to see those fights, and unfortunately, with Khabib retiring so early, it left a lot to be desired. But because he cannot go back on his word, he won't ever come back. Dude, Dana White has thrown like bags at this dude to get him to come back, and he says no. And it just goes to show, if you threw that much money at Conor, he'd be like, "Yeah, let's go," you know.
Throw half that much at Conor, he'd probably go. He's always looking for the bag. Gotta respect the entrepreneur.
And then Khabib was like, "No, brother, No, I said I would not fight. I'm not gonna fight.
The only time you get him in the octagon is when he's congratulating his fighters.
It's the only time you're gonna get Khabib now. And then Conor McGregor continues to just be a relevant person and as much as I hate to say it, still the highest, most recognizable UFC fighter ever, and has the most notoriety. He is the poster boy of the UFC still, I would say. I mean, Pereira, obviously, a lot of people are going to say, oh, no, Pereira's the star of the UFC right now. I'm
You
like,
can't give that to Pereira.
I can't.
Not right now. It's because it's too short right now. You give that to GSP before you give that to Pereira.
And then
And
on
I
top,
love Pereira,
yeah.
but it's just time and can't do that.
And then on top of that, yeah, sure, you had Israel Adesanya, who was like the most popular fighter aside from Conor McGregor, but he wasn't at the same level as Conor McGregor.
It's like A and S rank.
You know,
There's
like
levels.
fucking, if there was a double A tier before the S tier, that's where Israel Adesanya is. You know, but
Like the most classification I'll ever get from going specifics like something like that is you got A, S, double S, and triple S. You know.
yeah,
So if you wanted to, you could give Adesanya the double S and Greggy the triple S. But either way, it just points out that there's levels to this. And no, we're not saying Greggy's the best MMA guy.
oh
We're
fuck
not.
no,
Hell no.
no,
But we're saying eyes on the sport.
he is the
Popularity.
he is the biggest form of advertisement for the UFC. It is because of him that the sport has grown this much, but it's also because of Khabib that the abilities have evolved so much. So, and it all stems from this rivalry. So, that's why we thought it would be a good first one to cover.
Any other rivalries you want us to cover, please let us know.
Drop a comment down below, and I don't know which one we're going to do next time. UFC 313 is this weekend. So, we got our fingers crossed that Pereira beats the UFC game curse and knocks out Ankalaev. And we're also going to hope that Gaethje shows that he's still got it. But we'll have to see. We'll have to find out. That's going to do it for this edition of UFC Rivals. Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's all from me. Anything from you?
Let us know what you thought of the new series.
Whoop whoop!